So in Matthew 25, there's this really famous story where Jesus describes the end of time. And at the end of time, Jesus says, the Son of Man will come and will separate humanity into two different groups, the goats and the sheep. And the sheep, Jesus said, will be those who cared for others in their time of need. They fed the hungry. They gave something to drink to people who were thirsty. They clothed the naked. They welcomed the stranger. They visited people while they were in prison. And because they cared for others in their time of need, Jesus said, the sheep will go on to eternal reward. But the goats, Jesus said, the goats will go on to eternal punishment because they did not care for others in their time of need. They did not feed the hungry. They did not give something to drink to folks who were thirsty. They did not clothe the naked. They did not welcome the stranger. They did not visit folks who were in prison. And for the first part of my life, I was pretty sure that I understood the message of that passage in Matthew 25. I was pretty sure that it meant that there are two types of people in the world. There are the good people and the bad people. There are the sheep and the goats. And I wanted to make sure I was among the good people and not among the bad people. But then I read a little book, and it changed my mind. The book I read is called Good Goats, and it's written by a team of people, Dennis Lynn, Sheila Fabricant Lynn, and Matthew Vinn. And in that book, they describe a Bible study where the leader of the Bible study is leading this group through an exploration, a study of Matthew 25, this passage that we were just talking about. And in the study, the leader asked the group, so how many of you at any time in your life, even once, have shown care for someone in their time of need? How many of you, even once, have given something to eat to someone who's hungry, or something to drink to someone who's thirsty? Or how many of you, even once, have clothed the naked, or welcomed somebody who was a stranger, or visited someone who was in prison? And everyone in the group raised their hand. And the Bible study leader said, congratulations, that's awesome. That means you're the sheep. But then I have another question for you, the Bible study leader went on. The leader said, how many of you at any time in your life, even once, have passed by somebody in their time of need? Even once in your life, have you ever not given food to someone who's hungry? Not given drink to someone who's thirsty? Not clothed the naked? Not welcomed a stranger? Not visited someone in prison? And reluctantly, everyone in the group raised their hand again. Well, that's too bad, the Bible study leader said. That means you're not only sheep, but you're goats too. And that's true for all of us, isn't it? If we're really honest, that's true for all of us. I suspect if you look back over your life, and if I look back over my life, we will find at least one time in our life when we were a sheep, when we cared for someone in their time of need. And I also suspect if you look back over your life and I look back over my life, we will find at least one time in our life when we did not care for someone in their time of need and we passed by. I know it's true for me. In other words, there's a little bit of sheep and a little bit of goat inside of each of us, isn't there? There's a little bit of good and a little bit of bad inside of each of us. And Jesus must have realized that, right? I mean, Jesus is a really smart guy. So what if the point of Matthew 25 is not that there are two types of people in the world, the good people and the bad people, but that there's only one type of people in the world, us. And there is good and bad inside of all of us. This gets at one of the most important foundations of faith, but also one of the most unpopular, because no matter who we are, it's a foundation of faith that calls us to change. Sometimes this foundation of faith is described as non-dual thinking, the refusal to believe that there are two types of people in the world, the refusal to believe that there are two types of things in the world. Sometimes it's called holding the tension of faith and life together. Sometimes it's called a belief in oneness. Sometimes it's called a belief in solidarity of sin or solidarity of suffering. But whatever we call this foundation of faith, it all points to the same reality, which is that there is only one type of person in the world. There are not good people and bad people. There's just us, and we've got a mixture of good and bad inside of all of us. And it is an illusion that we are separate from each other. Separateness is an illusion, because the truth is that I am a part of you, and you are a part of me, and we are a part of them, and they are a part of us. And if I hurt you, what I'm really doing is hurting myself. And if you hurt me, what you're really doing is hurting yourself. Now, this illusion of separateness has been around for a very long time, even in the early church. In the early church, there was a name for it. It was called Gnosticism. It was the belief that there were certain good people who had secret knowledge of God and made them insiders with God, and that there were other people who were bad people, and they did not have that secret inside knowledge of God. And that belief and that illusion of separateness nearly tore the early church apart. You see, hurt and suffering and hate flourish where there is the illusion of separateness. When we divide people up into this group and that group, and that group and this group. But faith and religion at its best, and believe me, my friends, I realize that it is often not at its best. But faith and religion at its best is God's corrective to the lie that we are separate from each other. Faith and religion at its best is God's reminder to all of us that there's only one type of people in the world. And we are diverse, and we are different, and we are beautiful. And we are all also one.
Thank you so much for watching Campbell TV. Please check the rest of our channel for other videos on how to connect with God, love others, and grow in faith. Plus, if you like this video, please consider supporting Campbell by setting up a recurring gift on our website or by clicking on the link below. Until next time, remember that God loves you, Christ loves you, and Campbell does too.